Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today you are joining me in my Audi A7, and in this vid I'm gonna have a rant about some of the issues that I've been having with this car, which have been unrectified so far by the dealership, and I'm just getting some lame excuses from them. And I'm hoping that my viewers out there, you guys who own an Audi, doesn't have to be an A7, might be any model across the range, you might have had similar issues with your car and how your dealership has rectified those. To me, these issues seem to be, I wouldn't say common, but I think these issues can easily be rectified. But whether it's like a misdiagnosis by my dealership and I'm now just getting like, lame excuses, and the whole kind of thing about it's the characteristic of the car, I'm not really sure if it is, but I'm hoping that you guys might be able to help me out. So the first thing that I've had from day one on this car has been the remote control key. Initially it used to say that the battery is low, so I went and I changed the battery. I think it's a CR2032 battery, so I went and I changed that. It was okay for a short period of time, so I was able to lock and unlock the car and remote start it and whatnot. I say remote start, with the button. Then there was a time when it started to come up with like the whole kind of unrecognizable key. So I took it to the dealership and I brought it up to their attention, and they reprogrammed the key to the door mechanism. Before that point, there was a point where the key was not even opening up the doors regardless of having like a new battery fitted. So I think the dealership at that point, they reprogrammed the key and they updated the door locking mechanism with a software update. That seemed to have worked for literally 2 hours from the point I picked up the car. The key itself seems to be an issue. I've taken it back to the dealership and they've changed the battery themselves. They've reprogrammed the key back to the door locking mechanism. They reprogrammed the other key as well, and again it seemed to have worked for about a day, and then the same thing was happening. It wasn't recognized by the car, and again it wasn't opening up the doors. I'm now using the spare key. So that was the first issue. I've then got in touch with the dealership to let them know. It's been almost about 3 weeks or almost a month now. They've now ordered me another key, which I chased them up a couple of days ago, and they're saying, well, it should have arrived by now, but because of the semiconductor chip shortage, I'm not sure whether that's just now going to be an old chestnut that every dealership is going to start using. They're unable to get the key to me until the new year. So far I've got one key, and even that key, which is this one, is now becoming a bit temperamental. So it might be a case where one day I go up to the car and it's not even going to let me in. And I've changed the batteries on both sets of keys, and at times even this key is now not being recognized by the car. It comes up with this little funny error message, so I'm a little bit disappointed with that. Anyway, that aside, the other issue that I've had from day one, from the day I picked up the car from the dealership and I was on my way home, is that it keeps coming up with a vehicle light fault message on the dash. And I remember I picked the car up and it was chucking it down with rain, and I was driving down and I indicated left, I think it was, and this light came up and it basically said there's a vehicle light fault and contact the workshop. I'll throw in a little picture of that now, what it looks like. So I got home and I rang up the dealership straight away. I suppose I was in that kind of a honeymoon period where I was enjoying the car, so I didn't really let it get to me. I had the car booked back in to the dealership, annoyingly, in the first week, because it was a little bit like the car just needs to go back in literally as soon as I picked it up. And when it went in, they did a software update to the lighting system, and they were like, yeah, it's just like a module in the cornering light or something like that, so yeah, it just needs updating. So they updated the software, and as soon as I drove it away and I came home and I was like, okay, there's no messages. I drove in the dark, all the lights were on, there were no messages. And then I went out the same night again, and I think again I pressed the indicators or something, or the hazards, and the warning light came on. So I sent the picture directly off my phone to the dealership, and I kind of said to them, look, this has come up again literally after you've done the software update, what's going on? To which they replied after a few days to say, bring the car back in and we'll have another look at it. So then the car went back into them again, and they done another software update, and this time they said something along the lines of, oh, there was another firmware software update that should fix the problem. So they've done that. To that point, I'm now kind of thinking, surely there's going to be a part somewhere. I have had a look, all the lights are functioning, so there's no like bulb or LED that's gone out anywhere, but surely there's like going to be like a malfunction of part somewhere that's throwing up this error. but they put on their computer. I don't think they're using the VCDS, I think it's called. They're using their own other kind of software, which, you know, apparently is meant to be better than VCDS, so that I'm told. And they can't seem to find any faults with it. So I drove away again from them, and you know, a couple of days later the same fault came up, and I'm now starting to log it. It apparently happens when I'm indicating a left or when I'm putting the hazards on, and it is quite temperamental. It doesn't happen all the time, but it seems to happen. I've then gone back to the dealership and I've kind of left the car with them and says, right, you need to sort this out. You know, I've only had the car 2 months and it's already been at your dealership a few times and paying good money for this car. It's not like a cheap car to, you know, kind of like run around, you know, anything like that. I mean, my 12-year-old Yaris does not seem to have any problems, yet this car, you know, which is like a couple of years old or whatever it might be, you know, is already having issues within 2 months of my ownership, and it's only done like 11,000 miles. I don't understand the issue there, you know, like it shouldn't be having these niggly problems. So what the dealership have then done is they've ran some more diagnostics, and what they've said is the camera behind the rear view mirror seems to be pointing to a fault and a software update. Pretty much most of my recent cars that I've had have this technology where they have a rear view camera, they have a camera on the rear view mirror which looks at all the, you know, kind of high beam assist, and it looks at, like, you know, your lanes and all of that good stuff, and emergency braking, all of that stuff, whatever it might be. I've had cars with this technology, and what Audi have said is that camera can get a bit obscured, so therefore, you know, it becomes unavailable and throws these errors up. And they did say to me it should throw up other errors like high beam assist not available and a few others, right, like, you know, lane departure warning or all of that stuff. Those errors do come up, but they only come up when, like, say it's a frosty morning, but the lights, a warning light doesn't come up when it's a frosty day. So I didn't really buy that. I do have some of those, like, you know, warnings that do turn up, but they're usually like a white symbol, whereas the vehicle light symbol, when that comes up, or the vehicle light warning, that's an amber kind of warning triangle, and it doesn't go away until you switch the car off and switch it back on, and then it goes away, which, you know, is not great. So I've kind of been in touch with the dealership over this time. One of my main gripes about this dealership is that they don't really respond back to any emails. They don't return my calls when I genuinely calling them to find out what's going on, especially with, like, say, the key. I think I left about 3 or 4 messages over a couple of days, and then I'm now, you know, getting quite annoyed because I'm not sat there twiddling my thumbs waiting for them to call me back. You know, I want something done about this. I'm not sure whether this is like a listers group thing where, you know, the staff are not up to scratch with, you know, how to handle customer complaints or how to approach customers, because when they want your money, they're really like, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, and all of that good stuff. But when you take your car back for some warranty work, you know, they throw this whole characteristic thing about the car, and they're not very good at, you know, kind of sending or replying back to your emails. The only thing that I did get out of them was like a free meal as a bit of a compensation, which, to be honest with you, the number of cars that I end up buying through BMW and stuff like that, they usually throw them in complimentary anyway, so no big deal. I've had some bad experiences with this dealership in the past, a few years ago, where a salesman made a flippant comment when I was just checking out a car in the dealership, and on the same day I went and I purchased a BMW from Sitna, and then I went back and I made a formal complaint, and I kind of thought that they should have moved on from that point many years ago, but clearly not. I really don't think that they prioritize after sales service highly enough, especially like when you've gone and you've purchased a car using your hard-earned money or your savings and whatnot, and for you it should be like a first-class service regardless of whatever you buy. That's the thing, they're really good at taking your money, like I said before, but when it comes to after sales service, it's a huge letdown. And the thing is, I'm still waiting on, you know, a key to turn up. Sorry, that's my BMW one. A key to turn up to replace this faulty key, so that I'm able to, like, just get in the car and drive without any issues, or worrying that is it gonna start up, or is it gonna even, like, you know, unlock. And then I've got this horrible yellow amber warning light that keeps coming up every time I indicate, and I don't really understand why that is. If it's a problem with the camera at the back here, then why don't they just go and change the part rather than updating software? You know, I really hope that this is just a little glitch that they can sort out, rather than just giving me, like, say, the runaround and saying that it's, you know, a characteristic of the car, because it clearly isn't. I mean, other than that, I do like the A7. I think, you know, it is a great car. It's just these few little niggly things that, you know, the dealership should be able to sort out. I mean, You're buying an approved used car, you would have expected them to have given the car a full once over and not throw up, like, say, any warning lights on the drive home. And if there is anybody watching from listers, I really look forward to, like, taking a call from you guys as soon as this video goes up or within a few days, to actually see, you know what, whether you are taking, you know, these kind of calls quite seriously enough. So some of you guys might be thinking, well, why did you buy this car from listers if you already knew that their, you know, customer service was pretty poor based on your previous experience? Well, the current situation in the UK is that there's not many approved used cars available, and whenever something comes up, the stock is very sparse, so you got to just take what's available. And that was the case with this car. It was only available, you know, with this kind of a spec and with this, like, say, miles that was important to me, you know, at this dealership. And it wasn't like I could have got it bought from another dealership or anything like that. They just don't seem to operate like that at the moment. So I was kind of like, well, it's either this one or it isn't. So, and it's been a few years since my last bad experience with listers, so I was kind of thinking, okay, surely they've learnt from, like, say, their mistakes and stuff like that, and some complaints that not only I've made but other people that I know that have had some real bad experiences with this dealership. But now I kind of look back at it and I kind of think, I don't think they moved on at all. All they're worried about is selling cars, and they really don't prioritize after sales services high enough. So if you guys have had these kind of issues with your car, I'm not so worried about the key, because I kind of think that, you know, they've got a key on order whenever that turns up, but more so about this little warning light that keeps coming up on the dash. But let me know if you had this issue with your car and how it's been rectified, whether it's from your dealership or whether there's something that you've done yourself. I've gone through a few forums and stuff and I can't really find a definitive answer to it. I'm not going to take an answer from the dealership to say it's a characteristic of the car. I'm sorry, I do not buy that. If there's anybody watching from listers and you kind of think that I'm being a bit unfair here, criticizing you guys, give me a call and let's have a conversation about it, because everything that I've said so far is documented on email and I can always forward that on to, say, the dealership principal as well. So I'm really hoping that my viewers out there have found this video informative. I know it's been a bit of a rant, but there we are. Sometimes I think it's quite important to highlight these issues, not just about driving the cars and, you know, going on about them, because personally for me it's all about not only sharing my experience with the car but the overall ownership experience. And, you know, with, say, my other cars where I've had issues with, they've just gone into a dealership, they've been fixed first time round, and then you're just back on the road again. Whereas with this, I'm a bit in the, what do you call it, like in a bit of a limbo mode. Anyway guys, I think I'm going to wrap up from here. I think it's been a major rant today, so I do hope if you have found this video somehow informative and you want to share your experiences, just leave a comment in the comment section below. Hit me up on my Instagram and we can take you on from there if you wish. Along the way I'll probably give you an update as to how the dealership has rectified this issue. Anyway guys, I'll see you on the next one. Take care, bye.